the supplies for this project are listed in the description box below. Okay, I got these at Hobby Lobby. They come in a pack, I believe, of 4. Used a couple already. And this I'm going to make for my friend. I made her a sign already, and I'm going to do the same design on this to congratulate her on her retirement. She'll be able to put it on her Christmas tree every year. Now, I already know that she likes the design of the sign that I made her. I'll show you that here. So I know that she'll like this. First thing I want to do is coat it with Valspar coating. The reason I do this is because if I don't, the wood will drink up the paint and it'll be very difficult to paint on this surface because the wood's absorbent. The other reason is because wood has oils in it and the oils seep through the paint when you're done. So I'm going to put 2 coats on and wait a few hours in between coats. I don't blow dry because I want to make sure this is somewhat cured rather than just dried quickly. I'm using a brush. It's a 3/4 inch flat. Works perfect for this size ornament. I'm going to let that dry. Oh, and put your brush in water immediately. You do not want this Valspar protectant to dry on your brushes. It'll destroy them. So let's let that dry and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. I let it dry both sides. And I went ahead and took the liberty to draw a design very similar to the sign so it'll match. And now I'm going to fill in with the same exact colors I used for the sign. So if you want to know what I used for the sign, you can go and view that video or go in the description box below and you'll see a list of these colors and the type of paint that I used. So without further ado, I'm just going to use one brush, the Princeton number 2. This brush is wonderful for line work. I'm just going to outline and then fill in. I'm going to do the same thing as with the sign. I'm going to start with the blue. I'm just going to outline with my brush and then I'll fill in. Each color is going to have 2 coats because, as you can see here, it is not as opaque as I'd like. And part of the reason that's the way it is because I'm using craft paint. This isn't a high quality paint. If you want it to be smoother, you can use a flat brush for this. So I'm just going all around my subject here, trying to make that round sun there. A little easier to do when it's set down. My friend Beth, as I said before, retired, so I want to give her this as a gift. She was a flight attendant, and we were friends in high school, and it's kind of neat to reconnect with her and hear how she's doing. And I'm really proud of her for working and getting to the point where she can retire and start really enjoying life. All right, that's the first coat. I'm going to get that brush washed out, and I'm going to blow dry it a little bit and then add another coat. Okay, I'm back again. My brush is completely cleaned out, so I'm going to go ahead and dip it in the same color, and this is the second coat. And then I'm going to dry it completely again. Okay, that's completely dry. Now I'm going to go ahead and do the mountains. Same thing, I'm just going to paint the mountain solid and then 2 coats, drying in between the coats. find that 2 thin coats looks better than 1 thick coat. Occasionally I need another coat after that. For these, 2 coats is working for me just fine. So I'll get this dry. Okay, that's completely dry. My brush is cleaned out. I'm going to go right back into the green, and as you can see, it just needs another coat to make it more solid. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to put my brush in water and get that dried and start the yellow after that. Okay, the green is completely dry. Now let's get that yellow in there, and this might take a couple coats because we're going over, just a little bit over the dark areas. So this is going to take some precision because it's a very small area. So what I do, and I want to make sure you can see this, is I take the paint and I make sure there's a little bead on the end of my brush, and I pull that along and I watch that as I go down my line, and that's how I get a straight line. Now, because you're using these paints straight out of the bottle and you don't have to mix them again, you'll be able to, if for some reason you go out of the line or make the sun misshapen or something like that, just go into the color behind it and erase with it. So in this case, if this gets bubbled up on this edge, I'll just take the blue and come back around it with the blue. I'm going to see if that looks round. I think it needs to be rounded just a little bit more here. It's got to look like it's going all the way around. I think that looks okay. All right, let's get that dried up. And while I'm drying, I'm going to make sure that brush is in water. Okay, one more coat with that yellow, and then we'll start on the snow on the mountains. It's a little lumpy, but I'm okay. I like that hand-painted look. All right, brush in the water, dry again. Okay, now for the snow on the mountain, I'm pretty comfortable just painting it, but I would just want to show you, if you're uncomfortable with just putting it on there and winging it, grab a piece of chalk or a chalk pencil. This will give you a little bit more detail because it's more like a pencil. And just draw in where you want the pale blue, and then fill in. And I've turned it upside down to give me a better angle. There you go, I think that looks pretty good. So let's get the blue on now. And I do have to say, with this chalk, if there's any residue left, we're gonna just wash it off afterwards at the very end. So don't worry about that. It's just a guideline. Oh, and I don't have pale blue on my palette, so let me get that. Make sure to shake these. Probably won't need near that much. Make sure your brush is very rinsed out. I rinse it out in my dirty water first, and then I rinse it again in my cleaner water. I always have 2 containers of water. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and turn it upside down and load my brush. And I'm going to tap and pull. As I pull, I come up on my stroke and it'll taper it. So I'm going into the very top of the mountain, push, and pull. Push and pull. Push and pull. going to be adding white, so I'm going to make these just a bit thicker. You can press down on the brush more and it'll splay it out and make it thicker for you if you want. And then just make sure to pull up so it tapers it off at the top. I'm not going all the way to the edge of the mountain, but you could if you wanted to. Let's get that dry and do another coat. Remember, brush in the water. Okay, let's add another coat of the blue. I've got my brush rinsed out, blotted it on paper towel. I don't want it too wet. And I'm going to go ahead and put another coat of the pale blue on the snowy mountains. Alright, I'll get that dry again, and then we'll highlight them. With exactly the same stroke as the pale blue, I'm using white and I'm just going over a smaller area on top of the pale blue. Here I'm finishing up the second coat to the highlight of the snow. I'm going to mark where I want my sun rays. I'm going to just start with one mark and then continue around evenly towards the center of the sun. That looks good. With that same Princeton number 2 brush, I'm going to do the same stroke I did for the snow, but this time just a little smaller. I'm going to put down my brush, pull, and come up. As I come up, the brush stroke should taper. So put down your brush, drag it, come up. Now I'm not going all the way to the sun, there's a little gap. And do that all the way around. Now I'll dry it and give it another coat after it's dry. Okay, I'm going to go back into orange and add another coat. And while I have that color on my brush, I'll go ahead and add the dots. Now, if you don't get the dots that you want, just turn the brush over and use the wood part. I'll show you both. I'm just following the line on the sun. Do a nice round dot. I'll go ahead and rinse the brush off, and then I'm going to go into the apple green and make the foothill trees. That's just a little arrow shape. So I start at the top and pull down one side, and then pull down the other side. you want them to be sharper at the top, you can just come back up and go the other way. You could also use a smaller brush if you'd like. And then I'm going to go ahead and dry it, and then chuck out the lettering. Okay, everything's dry, and now I'm going to mark out where I want the lettering. Now my friend is retiring to Montana, so I'm going to put Montana on here and make it into one of my state ornaments. Haven't done one of Montana yet, so this will be it. So just freehand draw it on. I have some other ideas in the welcome sign video of how you could transfer a design, but I like to just freehand it. This lettering kind of fits wherever you put it, so we'll put it in there. And then if you add a little bit of water to your white, it'll move it around a little easier. Make sure you have very little paint on your brush. And then every single piece of the letter is going to be a different stroke. Now if you use the brush straight up, it'll probably give you a thinner line. There's a couple areas that still need to be a little bit brighter. And then if there's any areas you don't like, you can always clean up a little bit with the blue. I'll go ahead and get this dry. I felt like the Montana was a little squished in there, so I went ahead and increased the amount of blue that I put on the outside. Just thought that maybe looked a little better. While I have that blue on my brush, I'm going to go ahead and add the dots. These are completely optional, but they look pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that. Now to coat it with 2 coats of the Valspar Clear Protectant. You could also use a product I got from Michaels called DuraClear Gloss Varnish if you want a glossier surface. Make sure to coat the back. If you're going to write on it, I plan on writing my name on the back, so I'm going to give it 2 coats of Valspar. Waiting several hours in between coats, as per the instructions on the back of the can. I'm going to sign my name with a Sharpie permanent marker. It's just for indoors, so this will work out just fine. And then I'll put a coating over the top to protect that. First it looks sort of milky on the top, but it'll dry completely clear. This is a matte finish. You can also get a gloss finish. After putting 2 coats of Valspar Clear Protector on the ornament, I let it dry for a long time, and then I decided I wasn't sure about this red ribbon that the ornament comes with in the pack. So I found another ribbon that I like better, and it has the dots. So I was going to change that ribbon out for this one. I plan on doing one for every state of the nation. I hope you want to try this for your own state. Put this on your Christmas tree or give it to someone as a gift just because. Thank you for being here, and I hope to see you next time.